J.R. White, 19 years old and with more luck than sense, has just been thrown into a prison where brutality is the main course and psychological trauma is dessert. All this for a petty crime because, of course, the system always has room for the small fish while the sharks swim free. Sharing a cell with a guy who seems to have drawn the worst lottery ticket in life, J.R. witnesses his cellmate become the target of a group led by the prison yard's top bully, Dave. But not everything is tragedy. In a rare moment of prison sophistication, J.R. impresses the feared Brendan Lynch by predicting an unexpected checkmate in a chess game. Before he can become the next Bobby Fischer of organized crime, J.R. returns to his cell only to find his roommate crafting an improvised self-defense weapon. The warning, "Don't try this at home," has never been more necessary. When Dave arrives for another night of his usual cruelty, J.R. decides to play the hero or the fool, depending on the perspective, and intervenes, earning himself a VIP ticket to solitary confinement. Brendan gives him a lecture about not getting involved in other people's business, and to make matters worse, his cellmate not only continues to suffer abuse but also attempts to take his own life. A few days later, karma strikes when Brendan and his crew put an end to Dave and his gang, saving J.R. and recruiting him for what can best be described as an unpaid internship in the world of crime. The offer? Protection in exchange for future favors. Not exactly a conventional career plan, but at least it comes with benefits. Upon gaining his freedom, J.R. dives headfirst into Brendan's world, getting introduced to Sam, the local crime boss, and receiving a welcome kit that includes a new identity, money, and a gun. His training begins with acquiring heavy weaponry and a hands-on lesson in how to hijack a helicopter and break your boss out of prison without taking hostages. This might remind you of a certain Steve McQueen movie, but let's pretend it's not that obvious. The plan works, and the gang escapes, but the celebration is cut short by a news report. Merv, one of their crew members, has a repugnant past he conveniently forgot to mention. Brendan handles the situation in a straightforward way, kicking Merv out of the team, no severance package included. As the group settles into a new hideout, J.R. meets Tasha, a woman who not only attracts him but also warns him about the dangers of working for Sam. A casual poolside encounter turns into public humiliation when J.R. is thrown into the water and has to be rescued. His masculinity may never recover. Between romantic dinners and lakeside confessions, the young lover promises to run away with Tasha after one last big heist. Spoiler: whenever someone promises one last job, things rarely go as planned. While J.R. and Brendan prepare for the heist of the century, Tasha has the misfortune of being interrogated by Sam, who, like any good villain, can smell betrayal from miles away. But J.R. is focused on the mission, and when the time finally comes, he sneaks through the ventilation system to ensure no one presses an alarm and ruins the plan. This raises an interesting question. Has anyone ever pulled off a major heist without using an air vent? Because from Die Hard to every other heist movie, that seems to be the only option. Now, if you were in JR's place, would you have taken Brendan's deal or tried to go a different route? Because, let's be honest, after prison, a bad resume might be the least of your problems. But back to the story. Brendan and his crew turn liquid gold into shiny, valuable bars. Almost an artistic job. Until Josh decides to play sniper and shoots one of the employees, claiming the guy was trying to run. Brendan, who takes his criminal work seriously, is not amused and rewards Josh with a solid punch to the face. But before things could be resolved with a hug and an apology, or more punches, the sirens start blaring. Grabbing what they can, 6 gold bars, and using hostages as human shields, they flee to the getaway car, kicking off a high-speed chase. Unfortunately, Sterling takes a bullet during the escape and, like any good heist movie character, has just enough time to make an emotional request before passing on. His share of the gold should go to his little daughter. After barely escaping, the team heads to Sam's hideout, where the mastermind immediately starts dividing the gold like a teacher handing out test scores. Meanwhile, Brendan and JR do what any concerned criminals would: toss a body off a cliff to get rid of evidence. Meanwhile, Tasha is about to flee when one of Sam's henchmen catches her. A brutal fight breaks out, and unsurprisingly, she manages to take down the brute. Now fully paranoid, Brendan and JR decide to retrieve a stash of hidden cash from a cemetery, as one does, and plan to head to Melbourne, where Sam will launder the gold into clean money. Upon arrival, JR and Tasha rekindle their romance. But the romantic mood is shattered when Brendan, ever the rational one, tries to convince JR to leave Tasha, arguing that love and crime don't mix. Someone should have told Bonnie and Clyde that. The problem? Tasha overhears everything, storms off, and throws a bucket of cold water on the bromance between JR and Brendan, warning that Brendan could just as easily discard him when it's convenient. As if things weren't complicated enough, Wayne, a hitman hired by Sam, shows up out of nowhere, gun aimed at Brendan. But Brendan convinces Wayne that Sam is also screwing him over. The result? Wayne switches sides faster than a politician in an election year. And so, the final hunt for the gold begins. After an ambush with fire, bullets flying everywhere, and an interrogation that gets very cold, literally, they shove Josh into a freezer until he confesses. Brendan and JR finally reclaim the gold and bid Sam a permanent farewell, sending him to meet his maker. But, as any seasoned criminal should know, trusting your partner is as risky as trusting a cat to guard a goldfish. Just as they're about to sail off into the sunset, Brendan reveals his plan to betray JR and leave him with crumbs. But JR, proving he's learned a thing or two, had hidden the gold, and to make matters worse for Brendan, Tasha shows up holding his fate in her hands. After some pushing and shoving in the water, JR manages to escape and enjoy life with Tasha, while Brendan, well, he ends up right back where he started, in prison. A curious detail about this movie is that actor Ewan McGregor, who plays Brendan, drew inspiration from real-life criminals to shape his character and even spent time in Australian prisons to better understand the inmate mentality. Now, if I were in JR's shoes, I'd never have trusted Brendan enough to share a boat with him. The guy literally punched a crew member for less. But, on the other hand, hiding the gold was a genius move. Too bad trusting Tasha without a backup plan was a bit of a misstep. And now, a question for you all. If you were in JR's place, would you have run away with Tasha or stayed allied with Brendan? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, I've got an amazing video for you. See you there and have a great day.